Imagine you are standing on your own front porch wearing yesterday's clothes. You are clutching a warm, incredibly heavy Pyrex dish of baked ziti that someone from your neighborhood watch just handed you out of sheer, unadulterated pity.
Right.
There are 6 news vans parked on your impeccably manicured lawn. The camera lights are blinding you, and you have to look directly into a national television lens and explain that your wife of 19 years has abruptly left you, left her home, left her children, to pursue a deeply serious, wildly passionate romantic relationship with a Syrian hamster.
Oh, man. It breaks the brain. It is a total collapse of cognitive processing.
Yeah.
Because there's just no category for that kind of grief.
None. There is no Hallmark card for, sorry you lost your spouse to a rodent. Welcome to Off the Record. We are doing a deep dive today that completely shatters the neat little boxes we usually put human behavior into.
Yeah, definitely.
Our mission on this show is always to dissect complex, baffling sociological and psychological anomalies to extract the underlying why. We want the aha moments. But today, we are venturing into a territory that is so utterly devoid of logic, so completely stripped of conventional reason, that we are going to have to rebuild our understanding of human attachment from the ground up.
Exactly. Because usually, when we analyze a societal fracture or a bizarre behavioral event, we can trace the structural stress points. We can look at the data, the demographics, the localized economic pressures, and say, right there, that's the crap in the foundation.
Right.
But this defies every established psychological metric of behavioral trajectory we currently have on the books. We are swimming in incredibly murky diagnostic waters today.
We really are. But before we wade into that darkness, I need to set the scene for you, the listener, because context is everything here. I also want to take a brief moment to acknowledge the director of our show, Ryan Thomas. Ryan curates this incredible stack of sources for us. He pulls the raw data, the psychological profiles, the local news clippings, but more importantly, for tonight's session, Ryan has curated our in-studio beverages.
He really has.
He has provided us with a very high-end, deceptively smooth, dark liquor. I don't even know what this is, Ryan, but it smells expensive.
It is remarkably smooth, almost dangerously smooth.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. I anticipate this will be a highly analytical, incredibly focused, and perfectly sober session.
Oh, absolutely. 100% sober.
Yeah.
We are highly articulate. We have our notes color-coded, and we are establishing a prestige educational baseline. Cheers to you, and cheers to Ryan behind the glass. Okay, first sip. Ooh, wow, that is a kick.
That is robust.
Okay, let's unpack this. I want you to visualize the town of Bellchester, Indiana. Paint the picture of this hyper-specific, aggressively picturesque Midwestern suburb in your mind. Bellchester's entire identity is anchored to 3 pillars. Number 1, statistically anomalous, above-average, standardized test scores.
Perfect.
Number 2, predatory, cutthroat PTA bake sales. Like the kind of environment where if you dare to bring a tray of store-bought cookies in a plastic clamshell, you are quietly but permanently socially ostracized.
The absolute worst kind of suburb.
And number 3, a yearly, highly attended parade celebrating the town's historic grain elevator.
Which is fascinating in itself, really. The psychology of a town defining its cultural zenith around a grain elevator speaks to a desperate collective need for continuity. It's an anchor. It says, we process things. We are productive. We are predictable. It is the absolute epitome of the structured American dream. Safe, manageable, and aggressively normal.
So what happens when that aggressive normality turns necrotic? Let me introduce you to Denise Holloway. Denise is 41 years old, a 3rd-grade teacher at Oak Ridge Elementary, mother of 3. Married to a man named Greg for nearly 2 decades. And on a Friday morning, this pillar of the Bellchester community detonated an event that the local news literally described as having the emotional and social force of a natural disaster.
It really was.
Denise launched an 11-minute Facebook live stream, now deleted obviously, where she calmly, honestly announced she was leaving her entire life, her career, her mortgage, her marriage, to begin a new chapter and pursue a deep emotional and romantic relationship with Mr. Nibbles, a class pet.
Wow. And the immediate preliminary thesis here, as an analyst, is that we are looking at the catastrophic consequences of environmental repression. When a human being is placed in an environment that demands absolute compliance to a hyper-specific social script.
Wait, I'm going to stop you right there because I know what you're going to say.
Sure.
You're going to use the pressure cooker analogy, aren't you?
Well, the pressure cooker is a completely valid psychological framing device.
No, I reject the pressure cooker. It's a cliche. It only explains what happens, like pressure builds, valve breaks, steam explodes. It doesn't explain how a person's internal reality fundamentally rewrites itself. I was reading through these sources and I realized Denise isn't a pressure cooker. Denise is an over-leveraged emotional bank account.
Okay, I like this. Walk me through the mechanism of the over-leveraged account.
Think about it. Every single day, Denise is making emotional payouts. She's paying out to her students, paying out to the PTA, paying out to her husband, paying out to the societal expectation of what a 41-year-old Midwestern mother should be. But there are no deposits being made back into her own account. None.
Right, zero reciprocal energy.
Exactly. The community is constantly withdrawing from her empathy reserves. Eventually, she hits a profound emotional bankruptcy. And when you are emotionally bankrupt, your brain doesn't just stop working. It hallucinates a lottery win. It creates a synthetic delusional asset to balance the books.
That is actually a remarkably precise neurological metaphor. The brain, when completely starved of reciprocal emotional input, will trigger compensatory mechanisms. It's a survival instinct.
Right.
If the external environment refuses to mirror your internal needs, the psyche will fracture and construct a localized reality where those needs are being met, regardless of how objectively absurd that reality is to an outside observer.
Exactly. Which brings us to the burden of perfection. Let's really analyze who Denise Holloway was before the live stream. Taking another sip of Rand's mystery juice here. God, that burns in a really good way. So Denise wasn't just a teacher. She was an institution.
The source material paints a very specific, almost intimidating portrait of her. We're talking about a woman who provided free, extensive after-school tutoring entirely on her own time. She was a two-time Regional Teacher of the Year nominee. She was the kind of individual profiled in the local municipal newspaper because she was quietly, personally funding winter coats for low-income students out of her own pocket.
And it doesn't stop there. She organized the church canned food drive. She made homemade lemon bars for the entire regional softball fundraiser. Do you know the sheer logistical nightmare of making homemade lemon bars for a 50-person softball league?
It sounds awful.
You are zesting lemons for hours.
Mm.
Your hands are covered in citric acid. It is a relentless, exhausting performance of martyrdom.
And this is exactly how extreme civic engagement functions as an anesthetic. Neurologically, relentless caretaking is a highly functional mask for profound internal emptiness. Every time you buy a winter coat for a child or zest a lemon for a bake sale, your brain receives a microdose of dopamine tied to social utility. It tells you, I am useful, therefore I exist, I am needed, therefore I am safe.
But it's a trap.
It is a massive trap because you pour all of your cognitive and emotional energy outward so you never ever have to look inward. The second she stops tutoring, the second the lemon bars are baked, the silence of her own life rushes in, and the silence is deafening.
Because if she stops for even a second, she might realize she is deeply, fundamentally unhappy. The community didn't see Denise. They saw a utility. Look at the neighbors' reactions. They are reeling. Carla Bixby, a neighbor, stood outside the news vans on Friday and said, "This isn't satire. I genuinely wish it was. She taught my son fractions. And now apparently she's running off with a rodent." Carla's brain is glitching. She is experiencing massive cognitive dissonance.
Of course she is. The
Okay.
community is undergoing a collective secondary trauma. They outsourced their children's cognitive and moral development to this woman. They anchored their understanding of a good person to Denise's behavior.
And then there's Rebecca Laird, another parent, who asks what I honestly believe is the most terrifying existential question of the entire deep dive. She said, "You're telling me the entire time she was secretly in love with the class hamster. What are you even supposed to do with that information? Like, really, what do you do with that? Do you have to retroactively reevaluate every single parent-teacher conference you ever had with her?
Right, was she grading papers while thinking about the hamster?
Was she calculating grading curves while internally fantasizing about a small mammal running on a plastic wheel?"
It destabilizes your entire localized reality. You have to question your own fundamental judgment of character. If the most put-together person in the room is secretly harboring a rodent romance, who among us is actually sane? But we need to look at the deleted Facebook livestream. She claimed this relationship began in late 2022. She didn't frame this as a breakdown. The cadence of her voice, according to the sources, was completely, terrifyingly earnest. She framed it as the beginning of a genuine new chapter.
And that is what is so deeply unsettling to me. Does perfectionism inherently breathe secret eccentricities? Because I have to be completely honest with you, I think about this all the time. Maintaining a perfect outward appearance is so goddamn exhausting.
Absolutely.
I try to be professional. I try to have the smart analytical takes on this show. I try to keep my apartment clean. I try to remember everyone's birthday. I try to curate my Instagram so I look like a functioning adult. And honestly, Sometimes the pressure gets so heavy that I just want to sit on my kitchen floor in the dark at 2 a.m., eat dry cereal out of the cardboard box, and talk to the drywall, just to have a moment where nothing is expected of me.
It takes a tremendous amount of caloric and psychological energy to maintain a socially acceptable facade. The tighter you wind the spring, the more violent the eventual release.
Have you ever looked at the most put together, terrifyingly perfect person you know and just deeply wondered what their breaking point is? Like,
Mm.
what specific bizarre thing would cause them to snap?
Oh, constantly. Because perfection is a violation of human nature. It is
Yeah.
inherently unstable. It's like watching a Jenga tower that's 70 stories high. You just know that somewhere near the bottom, there is one critical block missing, and the whole thing is swaying in the breeze.
Exactly. Okay, I'm taking another sip. My chest feels incredibly warm right now. Ryan, seriously, whatever this is, I want a case of it. So let's look at the timeline. Let's get into the actual chronology of how you go from baking lemon bars to this, the origin of the rodent romance.
The inciting incident, according to the school district's retroactive timeline, begins in the fall semester of 2022. It was catalyzed by a standard third-grade science unit on small mammals and responsibility.
Right. Enter Mr. Nibbles, the Syrian hamster. He is brought into Oak Ridge Elementary to teach 8-year-olds how to gently handle a fragile living organism without accidentally crushing it to death. And the students, as you would expect, absolutely idolize this thing. The source notes that the kids were constantly drawing pictures of him during free time. But wait, hold on. I missed this in my first read-through. The kids are drawing pictures of him wearing tiny hats and superhero capes.
Superhero capes.
Can we just pause and visualize a Syrian hamster in a tiny hand-drawn superhero cape with like a little bold N on his chest for Nibbles?
That is undeniably charming. A microscopic cape, flapping heroically in the gentle breeze of the classroom's industrial AC unit.
Oh my God, I can't. A tiny cape. He thinks he's fighting crime. He thinks he's saving Bellchester from moral decay, but he's literally just running on a squeaky plastic wheel covered in his own feces.
Yeah, just completely oblivious.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. This is a serious tragedy, but the mental image is just so pure.
It's a very potent visual. But this is where the psychological pivot happens.
Yeah.
Denise, the teacher, the adult in the room, begins to describe Mr. Nibbles during this fall semester as unusually attentive and emotionally intuitive.
Which is insane.
It is the absolute textbook definition of anthropomorphic projection. Think about the mechanism of projection. The human brain possesses mirror neurons, which are designed to recognize and reflect the emotional states of other humans. Empathy is a ping-pong match. I smile, your brain registers the smile, you feel warmth. But when a person is deeply, profoundly isolated, those mirror neurons start misfiring. They start seeking out targets anywhere they can find them. Denise's brain took the completely blank, uncomprehending stare of a Syrian hamster, a creature whose entire cognitive architecture is dedicated solely to finding sunflower seeds and avoiding owls. And she artificially mapped a complex matrix of human empathy onto that blank canvas.
Because she was starved for it. She was starving. Listen, the escalation happens in the summer of 2023. The school undergoes asbestos removal and renovations. Someone has to take the class pet. Denise eagerly volunteers. She brings Mr. Nibbles into her home, into the very house she shares with Greg, her husband, the insurance adjuster. And this is where the leaked journal entries come into play. And I have to say, reading these, it's beautiful in a deeply, deeply messed up way.
The journals are the Rosetta Stone for her psychological collapse.
Mm.
She wrote that Mr. Nibbles was, quote, the first soul to ever truly listen.
The first soul to ever truly listen. God, wow, I'm pouring a little more because that hits me right in the chest. Think about the weight of that sentence. What does it actually mean biologically, spiritually, to truly listen to someone?
Well, it means holding space. It requires you to suspend your own ego. It means not just waiting for your turn to speak, not formulating your rebuttal while the other person is talking, but actually absorbing their emotional frequency, which, ironically, a hamster is perfectly capable of doing because a hamster literally cannot speak, judge, or interrupt. It is an empty vessel.
But it's so rare. In human beings, it is so goddamn rare to find someone who actually listens without an agenda. Most people just talk at you. They treat conversations like a hostage negotiation where they just want to validate their own existence. But you know what? I'm just going to say this. We're off the record. You are actually an incredible listener.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I mean it. You have this, what does she write in the journal? Here it is. Small in stature, but gigantic in emotional presence. That's how she described the hamster. But you have a gigantic emotional presence.
I try to be emotionally available. It's part of the analytical process, I suppose.
No, it's more than that. You have this incredibly grounded magnetic energy. It's very attractive, honestly, because I have dated people. I've dated men who were basically walking emotional black holes. I dated this guy, Dave. I think I've vented to you about Dave
Oh,
before.
yeah, Dave. I remember Dave.
Dave had the emotional presence of a wet piece of cardboard. He was emotionally smaller than a Syrian hamster. He really was. I would try to express a vulnerability, and Dave would just look at me like I was reciting the tax code in ancient Greek.
Dave was profoundly stunted. I remember the stories. He couldn't process a complex emotion if it came with an illustrated instruction manual and a map. And I completely empathize because I've had partners exactly like that.
Mm.
You give them your entire heart, you communicate your needs with absolute clarity, and they just stare at you with this terrifying blank bovine expression. It's freaking infuriating.
It is freaking infuriating. Yes, thank you. It makes you feel like you are losing your mind. You start wondering if you're asking for too much, just wanting to be seen. You just want someone to look at you the way Denise Holloway looked at a rodent in a plastic tube. Okay, wait, whoa. I'm feeling a little dizzy. What was I saying?
The journal.
Yeah.
The gigantic emotional presence. We were discussing how she projected this massive spiritual connection onto the hamster because her
Oh,
hunger,
God. Greg. We have to talk about Greg.
the tragedy of Greg, the insurance adjuster. It's Shakespearean in its cruelty.
It is genuinely deeply tragic. I'm taking the bottle, Ryan. I'm sorry, I need this.
Okay.
March 2026, public court records show that Denise quietly filed for separation, citing irreconcilable differences.
And Greg was completely blind to the reality of the situation. Nolan Pierce, a longtime family friend, is heavily quoted in the sources. He stated that Greg thought the marriage was just deteriorating under normal, mundane stress. He thought they had just drifted into a routine. He assumed naturally that she was having a perfectly normal affair.
Right. Nolan literally said he thought it was a dentist or a gym trainer. Nobody was psychologically prepared for this, and how the hell could you be?
You can't. Human beings are biologically wired to prepare for known threats within their species. Infidelity with a 28-year-old fitness instructor is a known threat. It's a societal trope. It is painful, but it is manageable within the standard context of divorce mediation and anger management. You can conceptualize a gym trainer. You can hate his abs.
But Friday evening, the press conference, Greg steps out of his front door. The reporter describes him as looking visibly aged, like a man who has not slept in a year. He steps onto his porch and he is clutching, and this is the specific detail that absolutely breaks my frickin' heart. I can't even handle it. He is clutching unopened casseroles from sympathetic neighbors.
The visual is devastating. The casseroles are the physical manifestation of community pity. They are heavy, they are warm, they are full of carbohydrates, and they are completely, utterly useless in fixing the fact that his reality has been shattered.
I could cry. I honestly feel like I could cry right now. Just put yourself in his shoes. You're Greg. You crunch actuarial numbers for a mid-level insurance firm all day. You try to be a decent guy. You mow the lawn. You pay your mortgage on time. And now you're standing on your porch, physically holding a Pyrex dish of baked ziti, telling the world, quote, "I spent 19 years building a life with someone I thought I knew. I lost my wife to a hamster." There's really no handbook for that.
It strips a man of every ounce of his dignity. There is no precedent, no cultural script for that specific flavor of grief.
But wait. Let's really analyze this. Let's get philosophical here. I'm going to play devil's advocate here because the liquor is telling me to. Isn't losing your wife to a hamster actually, better for your ego than losing her to an incredibly attractive human man? Think about it. If she leaves you for a ripped 28-year-old personal trainer, you feel physically inadequate. You feel like you failed the biological imperative of being an attractive mate. But if she leaves you for a 1-pound rodent, that's not on you, Greg. That is a get-out-of-jail-free card for your ego. That's just her having a massive psychological break. He can't physically compete with a hamster.
That's a highly unorthodox perspective. It shifts the locus of failure from his personal inadequacies to her severe pathology. It's an interesting... No, wait.
No.
I completely disagree. I passionately disagree.
Why? I'm right. I'm completely right about this.
Because it is infinitely, unfathomably worse. Think about the mechanics of the insult. If she leaves you for a hot gym trainer, you can soothe your ego by saying, well, it's just biology, it's lust, it's a midlife crisis. But if she leaves you for a hamster, she is fundamentally saying to your soul, I would rather seek emotional fulfillment from a furry, nonverbal creature that literally eats its own bedding than spend one more second attempting to communicate with you.
Oh my...
That is the ultimate total rejection of his humanity. They can't compete with a mammal because the mammal doesn't even have vocal cords. Greg wasn't out-seduced, he was out-communicated by an entity that is biologically incapable of speech.
Oh my God. Oh my God, you are right. You were so violently right. That is the most devastating thing I have ever heard. She chose literal, uncomprehending silence over his personality. She looked at Greg, and she looked at the silent void of a rodent, and she chose the void. Ryan. Hey, Ryan! Get in here and pour us another goddamn drink right now. This story is too goddamn sad. My heart can't take it. The casseroles, man. The unopened casserole just sitting there getting cold on the porch while Greg contemplates the void.
We need to pull back. We need to look at the academic perspective, the clinical experts, because we are spiraling, and it's a lot to process.
Yeah. You're right. Professionalism. Let's hit the reset button.
Yeah.
Deep breath. Okay. Let's formally introduce Dr. Leonard Voss. He is a prominent researcher from the Midwest Institute for Human Attachment Studies. He was brought onto an emergency televised local news panel on Friday afternoon to try and explain to the town why their beloved teacher ran away with the class pet.
Yes. And Dr. Voss, who I am sure was absolutely bewildered to be on television discussing this, stated that this situation falls entirely outside established behavioral frameworks. He offered a cluster of diagnoses. Let me check my notes. Okay. He called it extreme anthropomorphic attachment, which, as we discussed, is the violent misattribution of human emotional depth to a non-human entity. He combined that with severe emotional displacement and celebrity-style parasocial bonding.
Emotional displacement. So basically taking all the love she was supposed to feel for her husband and her kids and cramming it into a tiny, furry, inappropriate vessel because the original receptacles were somehow emotionally unsafe or unfulfilling for her.
Exactly. It's like trying to pour a gallon of water into a thimble.
Yeah.
And, oh, there was one more term Dr. Voss used. What was it?
Complete psychological freefall.
Complete psychological freefall. Yes, that's it.
God, that is such an incredibly good phrase. Complete, psychological, freefall. It sounds so profoundly metal. It sounds like an album title from a 1990s grunge band.
It really does. Psychological freefall. I love it. Think about the physics of that phrase. It's like you are jumping out of an airplane at 30,000 feet without a parachute, but the airplane is your own sanity, and the ground approaching you at terminal velocity is reality.
Psychological freefall. I want that embroidered on a pillow. I honestly want to text Dave right now at 11 p.m. and just say, hey, Dave, enjoy your complete psychological freefall, you emotionally stunted coward. Wait, what the hell were we talking about? I completely lost the outline.
The internet. The reaction of the global digital consciousness. Because obviously, the internet got a hold of this story and completely lost its collective hyperreactive mind.
Oh, right. The internet sleuths. Hashtag Hamstergate. Hashtag rodent romance. Hashtag Free Greg. Free Greg was trending globally by noon on Friday. And the TikToks. Oh my God, we have to talk about the TikToks.
The amateur internet detectives started forensically digging through years of seemingly innocent, publicly available classroom photos and district newsletters, and they discovered this terrifying pattern. They found that in the background of almost all these photos, Denise was exhibiting completely inappropriate, unusually intense focus on Mr. Nibbles' enclosure.
But the Jingle Bell Rock incident, the magnum opus of the internet sleuths, we cannot skip the Jingle Bell Rock incident.
The slowed-down, enhanced footage from the 2024 Oak Ridge Elementary Holiday Pageant, it's so weird.
Yes. Okay, listen to this. A viral TikTok compilation takes this grainy parent shot footage of an elementary school holiday pageant. You have a chorus line of 8-year-olds dressed as elves, completely off-key, singing Jingle Bell Rock. And in the deep background, standing near the radiator, is Denise, the teacher, and she is making prolonged, intense eye contact with the hamster's enclosure during the song.
During a festive, highly chaotic, choreographed dance sequence, she is ignoring the children. She is just intensely locking eyes with a wire cage.
I can't. You have to imagine you are a parent in that audience. You have your iPhone out. You are recording your kid doing a little Jingle Bell Rock kick line, making a core memory. And right over your kid's shoulder, the woman who teaches them math is having a deeply intense, psychosexually charged romantic stare down with a pile of cedarwood shavings.
It is the absolute peak juxtaposition of the excruciatingly mundane and the deeply, profoundly psychotic. She is spiritually communing with her soulmate while a child named Tyler forgets the lyrics to A Christmas Carol and picks his nose.
Oh, God, my ribs hurt. Okay. Whew. Let's look at the collateral damage, the student impact. The sources quote an 8th grader, Caleb Rayner, who had her years ago. He said, she was honestly my favorite teacher ever. But also now every time I see a hamster wheel, I feel weird.
That right there, that is core developmental trauma. The innocence has been shattered.
Yeah.
The hamster wheel, the hamster wheel is a profound metaphor, isn't it?
A metaphor for what?
For life. for the human condition, for all of us.
Mhm.
Think about it. We're all just running blindly on the wheel, aren't we?
Yeah.
Round and round, generating kinetic energy that goes absolutely nowhere, thinking we're making progress, thinking we're getting the Teacher of the Year nomination, thinking we're making the perfect lemon bars.
Mhm.
But really, we're just trapped in a brightly colored plastic cage of societal expectations, desperate, waiting for someone, anyone, to look at us across a gymnasium during Jingle Bell Rock and tell us we have a gigantic emotional presence.
Wow. That is genuinely beautiful. Did you just come up with that? You are so incredibly smart. Have I ever told you how smart you are?
You have, but I
Stop it.
deeply appreciate it every time.
Yeah.
You are incredibly insightful yourself. The way you synthesize abstract information and connect it to
Yeah.
raw human emotion, it's captivating. It really is.
Stop. Stop it. You're going to make me blush under these studio lights, which, by the way, you look really good in this lighting. Anyway, wait, we need to finish the timeline. We are straying from the documents. Where are they now? The getaway, the great tragic escape of Denise and Nibbles.
Right. The institutional fallout, the district panicked. Obviously, you cannot have a rogue educator eloping with a classroom asset. The Bellchester Unified School District placed her on indefinite administrative leave by Friday afternoon. They issued a highly sanitized four-sentence PR statement. They confirmed that no human students were in physical danger, but noted that several children would require specialized counseling to process the betrayal.
One of the school board members anonymously called it the most humiliating press cycle in district history, which honestly is fair. Bellchester is used to making the news for grain elevators, not interspecies elopements. So Denise goes on the run. The star-crossed lovers flee the suburbs.
She relocates. She abandons her 19-year marriage and checks into a converted low-budget extended-stay motel somewhere near Interstate 74.
Interstate 74. It's so tragically cinematic. Nothing screams beginning a new chapter of profound spiritual awakening quite like the flickering, buzzing neon sign of a Roach motel off a major Midwestern highway corridor.
And the imagery the sources provide of the escape. Thursday night, before the live stream, residents of the motel reported seeing a woman carefully, almost reverently carrying an enclosure, a standard wire and plastic hamster cage, into the building. She had it hidden beneath a towel-covered laundry basket.
A towel-covered laundry basket. Like she's harboring an international fugitive. Like Mr. Nibbles just robbed a bank and is on the FBI's most wanted list. She is actively running counter-surveillance to protect a Syrian hamster from the paparazzi.
And this leads us to the final, genuinely unbelievable twist. This is the moment where the narrative crosses the event horizon from a severe psychological break into a legitimate, legal, and bureaucratic anomaly. Online municipal records were unearthed showing that Denise actively attempted to obtain an interspecies symbolic union certificate.
A what? Say that again slowly.
An interspecies symbolic union certificate. She tried to source it through a highly obscure, fringe, spiritualist organization based out of rural Nevada.
A marriage license. She tried to legally and spiritually marry the goddamn hamster in the state of Nevada.
It triggered such a bizarre legal panic that actual legal scholars had to go on the record with the media to formally confirm that no United States jurisdiction currently recognizes marriages between human taxpayers and small mammals. A local Nevada county clerk was actually interviewed and dryly noted that this was not previously a scenario requiring clarification.
Not previously a scenario requiring clarification. I love bureaucrats. I deeply, passionately love the mundane machinery of government. I love that some exhausted clerk sitting under fluorescent lights in a municipal building in rural Nevada drinking bad coffee had to sit down at a keyboard and type up an official memo stating, just to clarify for the record, we cannot legally wed the Bellchester third-grade math teacher to a 3-ounce classroom pet.
It is the absolute, undeniable zenith of the entire story. It is where human madness violently collides with municipal zoning laws.
But you know what? I'm going to say it. The liquor is giving me clarity right now. I am going to go on the record, right here on Off the Record. I support her.
You actively support the interspecies union?
I support her raw, unadulterated bravery. I really do. Think about the courage it takes. She was trapped in a miserable, soul-crushing, loveless pressure cooker of a marriage with Greg, who probably didn't even notice when she changed her hair or bought new winter coats for orphans. She was completely exhausted from giving her entire lifeblood to a school district that replaced her in a 4-sentence email. And in all that darkness, she found love. She found a connection. Is it objectively deranged? Yes. Is it scientifically, biologically impossible to consummate or sustain? Absolutely. But she pursued her subjective objective truth. She packed up her little laundry basket, she drove to a seedy motel off I-74, and she fought the Nevada state government for her spiritual union. I think in a deeply fed-up world, that is beautiful.
You know what? You're right. You are profoundly right. Love is completely insane. All human love is fundamentally a shared, consensual hallucination. We're all just wandering around this spitting rock, carrying our own metaphorical laundry baskets, trying to hide our vulnerabilities, desperate to find a symbolic union in a cheap motel before the clock runs out. Who are we to judge her? Who the hell am I to judge Denise Holloway? I dated a man who collected vintage, rusted hubcaps and treated them with more tenderness than he ever treated me. Denise found someone who listens. That's more than I can say for my 20.
Exactly. She found a listener, the ultimate listener. But wait,
Yeah.
hang on. Oh my God.
What is it? You look pale.
I just had a thought. I just realized something looking at this top line, and it actually changes everything. It is completely devastating.
Lent, tell me.
Do you think Mr. Nibbles even likes her?
What do you mean? How could he not?
I mean, we've only heard Denise's side of the story. We have the 11-minute live stream. We have her unhinged journal entries about his gigantic emotional presence. We have her narrative. But is it reciprocal? Or is he a hostage?
Oh my.
Did she just kidnap a dedicated public servant? Think about it. He was a classroom pet. He had a job. He was an educator. He was teaching third graders the vital importance of responsibility and spatial awareness. He had a structured life, a steady supply of premium sunflower seeds, kids drawing him little capes, and she just threw a towel over his head, shoved him in a dark laundry basket, and dragged him to a motel off the interstate.
And look at the source material.
At the very end of the article, it explicitly notes, as of Friday evening, Mr. Nibbles himself had not issued a statement.
He hasn't issued a statement because he doesn't have a PR team. He doesn't have a lawyer. And he is currently a furry hostage in a Nevada-bound motel room. We've been sitting here for an hour romanticizing a felony kidnapping.
We have. We are complicit in the romanticization of a hostage crisis. Oh my God, my entire worldview is shattered. Everything is a lie. I need to lie down. The floor looks incredibly comfortable right now. I'm so tired. The emotional whiplash of this entire deep dive is just too much for my nervous system.
We need to pull it together. We need to reset the show. Let's do a professional summary reset. Okay, let me adjust my mic. To summarize, the deep sociological implications of the Bellchester incident, they demonstrate that when the over-leveraged emotional bank account of a suburban... Wait, I lost it. I completely lost the thread of the thesis. My brain is just static.
Don't even try. Don't even worry about it. Let it go. You did great. We did great. This was the greatest deep dive we've ever recorded. I feel like we broke through the matrix today. Ryan, we did great, right? Ryan's giving us a thumbs up through the glass, but his thumb looks really blurry, and he looks a little concerned.
I feel really warm. I feel a profound amount of affection for this room right now. I feel an intense affection for you, for your brilliant mind, and your ability to tolerate my ramblings. I feel a deep, abiding affection for Ryan Thomas and his incredibly smooth, dangerously potent liquor. And I feel affection for the listener, for you, sitting out there, wherever you are, listening to us, completely lose our academic credibility and our minds over a Syrian hamster.
I love you guys. I really genuinely do. This show is the only thing in my life that makes any actual sense anymore. Everything else out there in the real world is just off-key jingle bell rock and heavy, unopened casseroles sitting on cold porches.
So true. That is so profoundly, heartbreakingly true.
Let's wrap this up before I start crying again. I want to leave you with a final provocative thought, something for you to really mull over while you go about your mundane, normal week. The next time you are sitting in the quiet safety of your own home and you're feeling totally, completely understood, you're feeling like finally someone in this cold universe truly, deeply gets you. Look around and make absolutely sure you aren't just projecting your entire magnificent, complicated, deeply traumatized human soul onto a small, uncomprehending mammal in a plastic tube.
Protect your peace. Protect your hamsters. Check on your local insurance adjuster husbands.
Stay safe out there, everyone. Keep your emotional bank accounts balanced. And Ryan, buddy, please, for the love of God, call us a cab. We are absolutely, definitively not legally allowed to operate a motor vehicle.
Good night. And God bless the Midwest.